Mr. Speaker, I rise in support of this budget. Mr. Speaker, there's not too many things we do here in Harrisburg that are completely good or completely bad, and that's certainly true of this budget proposal. Mr. Speaker, while the budget at hand does have shortcomings, it also calls for a $17.8 million infusion of critically needed funding for programs and services for Pennsylvanians who are on the infamous waiting list. To refresh everyone's collective memory, this waiting list is for adults with various types of intellectual and developmental disabilities. Many of these adults with special needs have been waiting years and years for services to which the Commonwealth says they need to live. Mr. Speaker, these adults with disabilities include those who recently graduated from high school or have aged out of the public school system at the age of 21. Over 700 young men and women with special needs graduate from high school each year and are added to this waiting list. Most of these young men and young women have no place to go for supports. Mr. Speaker, these adults include men and women who are well into their 60s and 70s and are cared for at home by aged parents. Many of these parents are well into their 80s and even into their 90s. In many families, both the parents and their adult children with special needs have various medical and age-related health care issues. Mr. Speaker, the appropriation of in this budget of $17.8 million for the waiting list will provide care for over 1,100 Pennsylvanians who have various types of intellectual and developmental disabilities. Let us not forget this critically important line item that will provide hope and care for many Pennsylvania families. Mr. Speaker, while the budget is far from perfect, let us not forget that this critically important appropriation for the waiting list for adults with special needs who have been waiting years and years for services is the first good faith effort to find care and fund care for these men and women in many, many years. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.